Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very sleepy episode of DM Chatz.
Both of us are exhausted.
Oh yeah, both of us. So this is gonna be fun. Because we're a little droopy and sloopy. But hi, everybody. Welcome. Please feel free to play with your stream avatars down below. Have fun customizing them. And as usual, just pitch. You talk, Casey. Tell them about the chat and how we do things.
This is gonna be a fun one, or just absolute chaos. I mean, most of the time we end up going off, segueing into random rabbit holes of nonsense anyway. So, if you're a returning viewer and chatter, it's probably nothing new. Us being exhausted and delirious.
Good point, actually. Sleep deprivation chat, damn straight.
Deprivation chat, yeah. So the chat, it's us chatting, but it's a group chat, you know? So
Our talking is but an impetus.
Yes, we encourage and sometimes rely on the chat to not just ask questions, definitely ask questions, but also to give input, your experiences, your thoughts, your opinions. I know there's like chat rules and stuff. The only one I care about is the number one rule, and that's don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Just don't do it. I know you just don't. It's
generally my rule on D&D as a whole, and just kind of life as a whole. Just don't be a dick.
It's a good life model to have.
Yeah.
You have more friends. You have less fights.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, what is this? Yeah, this is true. We could be making all this up. This could be this bitch just toying with our brain. Where are you at? Where are you? Hang on.
I would be very upset if I suddenly woke up and had to redo Monday again.
Oh my god, yeah, right. I trust it wouldn't happen on a Friday. Also noticing I still have my freaking bracelet on from Sid, so give me a sec while I get my life together. So tomorrow, the start of 2 really cool episodes coming out.
Yes, we got some cool stuff going on. Last 2-3 episodes were kind of all build up to a big event, and it's worth it. I think it was crazy.
It really is. There's very few moments of
and there's a little
of a break. It's just chaos.
And it's and there's a little bit of kind of an upgrade to the look of everything for these episodes. So that'll should be a good view. It was a lot of fun to play. So and nerve-wracking to play.
Oh yeah, that was the air before we started. Everyone was just like, "Oh no!" We were really tense. So I'm glad everyone shook it off, and we had a very good 2 games. So
yeah, that was a lot of fun. And Dan's trying to make me paranoid right now.
Yeah, he's trying to gaslight you, bro. Wake up, Casey! Wake up! This isn't real. Well,
how do you just, obviously vaguely, because we don't want to do any spoilers for it.
Sure.
I mean, what folks will be able to see tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST. How do you feel like it all went? Are you pretty pleased with? Did you have moments where you're just like, shit, I didn't think about that, or?
Honestly, no. I mean, I had prepped enough for you guys to explore, and I told myself not to beat yourself up about things they're not going to see, because that's Legion compared to what you guys would just naturally do.
Yeah.
So although I was like, this would have been cool if it did. There's still some beautiful moments that happened inside there that I'm really happy with. And it was just fun. I just remember being like at a 10 from the start. I was like, all right, this is gonna be good. And then on the drive home, I slowly started to wind down, and then I came home and just passed out. But
I'll bet. There was a lot of moving parts you had going there, and I think it was very, very well done, well crafted, and executed. So it was good times.
Sorry, my camera just made me all blurry. But yeah, all in all, I feel very good. I feel very happy with the episode. I think it's gonna come out pretty good, man, and I can't wait for folks to see it.
Oh, I see. I never I don't really watch the actual Twitch thing because it's on a delay.
Oh,
but I keep chat up in the side, so I don't think I've noticed in the 40 of these that we've done or whatever that you have a 2-camera setup.
Yeah, because I can't have you on Zoom and then use the camera. It won't use the 2 webcam cams.
That makes sense. Yeah. And now I'm not staring as much down the barrel now because now I've got you like off to the side, but I'll get you back up in front again here. Nice. Zoom's being stupid again. It's doing this thing right now where I'll end a meeting or something and then it won't let me leave the window. So
say what you were thinking. Marriott, Dan, what would I have done differently? Honestly, if I had my way, I think at least one more session inside this area. Like one more session to play it all out. I think would have been a lot of fun. There's just a lot I would have liked for you guys to explore.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like just in terms of being a character and like seeing everything happen. I think that's the only other thing. Other than that, I'm very happy with it. A lot of rolls inside your guys' favor in certain moments, and then a lot of rolls definitely in mine. I think I rolled like 3 natural 20s.
Yeah. We were doing pretty well. We had a lot of really good rolls, a lot of good like outside of combat for like athletics checks and stuff like that. Yeah. More was happening today, but yeah, it's you had some pretty good rolls yourself.
Yeah, it was just good.
One had ones there, just like ooh.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with it. All in all, I'm quite chuffed.
Yeah. I'm excited to have people watch it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, what are we chatting about tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe we mix it up a little bit. We've been talking a lot about mechanics and rules and ideas and things like that, which is all in all been fun. But I was like, what if we just talked about, just picked a random monster group and just nerd out about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried hard to stay away from the bullet, my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna, any chance you get, talk about the bullets.
Very true. Very true.
They are fun. They are a lot of fun. Yeah. So we're gonna talk a bit about, I think specifically like Night Hags. Yes. Maybe a few comments about Hags in general, I suppose. Just part of what we're chatting about, and then also Yuan-Ti. Yeah. I can talk more specifically about a few things, but maybe more broad on the Yuan-Ti because, for reasons.
Yes, there's a lot.
And maybe another time we'll do kobolds.
Hey, that's beautiful. It's a really great section that I forgot the name of him, but he does this cool thing on his channel called "Kill Your Party With," and so he'll do like "Kill Your Party With." Gnolls or kobolds, but then he'll talk a lot about the history, how you should be playing them, how to utilize them in combat. It's very cute. It's a very cute video, like series of videos.
That's fun. I'll have to check that out.
Very killable.
Yeah, kobolds are great little. They're fun as goofy NPCs once your characters have vastly out-leveled kobolds, but they're also really great. They're really great starting enemies and entities to encounter. Yeah. Both of my campaigns that I ran and am running involved encountering kobolds at like level 1. So yeah, they're fun. Kobolds and goblins, classics.
Oh, classics, yeah. And starting off with a good goblin encounter is just.
So what do we want to start with? Want to talk about the Night Hags, the Yuan-Ti, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Just the Night Hags for a multitude of reasons. I think, as them specifically, without getting into all the other hags, there's something just really cool that you could take one Night Hag, and that could be the main villain throughout your entire campaign. just based around how crazy they get and some of the things that they're able to obtain.
Yeah.
Especially because like they can be tormenting your players for ages, slipping in between the planes if they have the Heartstone as well, going ethereal the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, it's brilliant. Like, they're just a brilliant villain. But then to just dive into their lore as well, and you know where they are, what do they do, what are they, and to dive, I guess, into the meat of it. You know, as we know, there are delightful fae, and devils and demons have been fighting for freaking ever, and you know, you can't really breed out inside inside the demonic realm, and so getting little larvae from individuals that die at some point that are grown like all over the show, and that's how they kind of get recruited. And the Night Hags figured out that inside Hades is where larva grows the best. Essentially becomes like the most potential powerful best. So now the Night Hags are this beautiful like series of covens that go under like one sort of massive coven as well, because there's like the Night Hag mother, and now they're selling souls between and they have their own like trade and market inside Hades to like sell off. It's just like such an interesting like ability, like that could take the whole campaign just right there to this whole area. And that's like the tip of the iceberg for like what these guys are actually capable of.
Yeah, so I mean, what makes Night Hags in particular kind of different from Hags overall? I mean, you didn't want to talk about some of the specifics like Anise Hags or Green Hags or Sea Hags or anything like that.
Yeah.
But those are all generally they're fae.
Yeah.
They don't seem fae because you think really pretty elves and shit are fae, which normally it's normally the case.
Yeah.
Most of them are fae, but the Night Hags they've turned fiendish.
Yeah, they're fiends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes them unique amongst all the other ones, because I think most of, if not all of the other Hags still remain fae.
Fae, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they've got, because they're not, Night Hags just inherently they're like a CR 5 or something enemy, but you can be so creative and dangerous with them that, like you said, you can have them popping up causing problems for a long time, because
absolutely
good enemies are not just how can they hold up in combat against your players.
No.
They
have your players running for hours. That's yeah.
And
they also get specifically 2 magic items to themselves that's very specific to them. I mean, the first is the Heartstone, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. So the Heartstone is this sort of a lustrous black gem that allows the Night Hag to become ethereal while it's inside her possession. The touch of the Heartstone can also cure any disease, and it takes 30 days, and this is something that the Night Hag has to get a hold of and kind of build. And I think that alone, you know, that alone, you're very much able to create a villain just based off of that, because it's something that's very interesting for you to play, because there's like a villain that's kind of got this mini goal that can lead to something out, and it's kind of fun as a DM to be like, ooh, behind the scenes, we're gonna be sneaky and like get the Heartstone, whatever. And it's just kind of interesting that way, in my opinion. So, like, it just gives you this added element of something fun for you as the DM to play, which I think is really great. The second of which is the Soul Bag. Yeah. Oh, sorry, did you? There's something.
I was just going to comment on the Heartstone. It's neat because it is it's essentially what would be an extremely like high level rare magical item, because they can turn ethereal at will, which means as long as they do it before you outright kill them, they're going to get away in most cases. Because etherealness just as a spell is like a 7th level spell.
Yeah.
So for a creature you could encounter at like level 3, it's crazy to have that kind of ability.
It is, and it's there was something about like the way I was reading it and coming out of the lore. A lot of the times, night hags, in between the jump between material and ethereal, inside that brief patch, there are hags that have been known to be able to snatch souls that are making that jump, and as a result, they can pull someone from one particular realm into the other. So they can literally isolate you from the party at will, and then just have you in Hades sell your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course that makes their special ability a lot easier, being ethereal.
Yes.
And being able to use it while ethereal, which is pretty unique because normally you can't mess with people.
Sure.
But it's kind of like written and designed into them that they're supposed to be able to use it and use their nightmare thing while they're
haunting.
Ethereal. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have the one other item we were about to say as well.
The soul bag.
Soul bag.
Yeah, so when an evil humanoid dies as a result of the hag's nightmare haunting, the hag catches the soul in this black sack that is made of stitched flesh. A soul bag can hold only one evil soul at a time, and only the night hag who crafted the bag can catch a soul with it. Crafting a bag takes 7 days, and a humanoid sacrifice. The sacrifice, of course, is the flesh that is used to make the bag.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is...
I like how we both picked kind of really creepy ability and background kind of creatures.
Yeah.
Because we talk about the Yuan-Ti, they're creepy in their own way too. So, yeah, it's just, a soul bag made out of flesh.
Yeah. Which is brilliant. Just this little bag and just capture your soul and then, I don't make spawns with it or sell it, which is incredible. There's also a lot of history between the night hags being like hating liches, because a lot of the liches essentially go through to Hades to like buy lava from night hags as a form of like keep their phylactery alive to stay undead. And so but a lot of the times the night hags kind of don't like liches and they don't respect them, and so there's a lot of times where liches just get swindled by night hags, and they can't really combat them too much because they have this source of souls. Which I love the idea that night hags will look at a lich and just fuck with them because
Dan had a question there in the chat.
Oh, what's up?
Not the one, the most recent one. The other one is asking if night hags are hierarchical. Has an idea of possibly night hags trying to impress their superiors with party designed to go wrong.
They're somewhat. I guess they are in a way hierarchical because there's the mother of the coven essentially, and she kind of just rules over everyone else. She's the superior. Everyone just kind of listens to her. Is the idea. Yeah.
If they're in a coven, there's a bit of a thing, though a lot of that is kind of joint, like a partnership, a sisterhood, but you can always play with those dynamics as a DM, one that's kind of muscling in and maybe there is a little bit of tension or something between them. But yeah, generally hags are kind of go off and do their own thing. They don't tend to seek people out. They wait until people come to them, and night hags, I think they're a little bit more aggressive, but
because they have a business to run.
Yeah, but generally speaking, hags are not. They're kind of loners unless they have a coven.
Yeah, which is actually kind of cool because there's coven variants for some of the hags, and they'll give you like little added abilities and notes which is very cool.
Yeah, if they're in a coven, they have this. I definitely recommend, and in preparation for talking about like the Yuan-Ti and the hags and all that, I reread and scanned through Volo's Guide to Monsters. It's great. I highly, highly recommend it for a DM who's trying to think up how to run some enemies, and it even has examples of what you should put in the layer, what the layers look like. And they have kobolds and goblins and orcs and hags and Yuan-Ti and a couple others. And it's actually really nice a really nice thing. And they even have, like for the Yuan-Ti, a race for them. I think the Hobgoblin race is in there.
Nice.
Like for player
Yeah,
characters,
the
or
play characters when they came out.
or if you wanted to develop an NPC that's more than just a stat block,
Yeah.
you could create a more complex NPC out of one of these monstrous races. I don't think they had anything for hags, but
No,
that's
it would be so utilized, I'm afraid.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's see.
There's also.
So yeah, I mean.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no. There was something else that I was reading at some point. There's this ritual that kind of gets conducted by a particular coven. It involves a very special cauldron where very particular potent souls get placed inside of this. And the only way for this to be utilized is for Night Hags to kind of give all kind of living energy of their own to be sapped into this cauldron, and they're never allowed to kill themselves while they do it. But it takes a large amount of like life force energy, so either like years of this cauldron brewing, and several are just putting in, or just like a mass of Night Hags that all become like really sort of like decrepit and everything sitting around it. Oh, excuse me. And as they do, over a period of time, eventually it summons like a demon called an Arlagoth, which I think is like even stronger than a Yugoloth or whatever, and it becomes like it could rival pit fiends and things like that in terms of strength. And it's kind of this ritual that these Night Hags kind of conduct. And I just thought that was also really interesting, is that there's always seems so much more behind the Night Hags and what they're able to accomplish, you know, like you said, this is a challenge rating 5. Once they could take a whole campaign, it could be a whole thing.
Yeah. You saying what was the creature they could summon?
I think it's Elagoth. It's like a bigger form of the Yugoloth. It's Elagoth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Trying to recall if I know anything about that, but that's interesting. Yeah. I'm also thinking about the what are they called? Oh yeah. They're Yugoloths that's a group of creatures, and there's different types of them, like the Arcanoloth and the.
Oh yeah, the Arcanoloth. That's right. You are.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That one's cool. That one's like the
lords. Right.
Yeah, it's like a fox demon. Yeah. Okay, that's right. I remember now. I've thrown Yugoloths at players before. They're fun. There's actually a fun additional group of them in Mordenkainen's Tomophos. They're fun to play with.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that was just me nerding out while at work, like listening to one of those podcasts of people being like, "Did you know about this?" And I was like,
"Oh
I didn't know a lot of this. This is kind of interesting." Yeah.
Yeah, hags are cool. I think they're a class. We actually had when we did when I played in Curse of Strahd. Had a recurring Night Hag that kept. We initially fought. Of course, she went ethereal and went away, and then came back up later and then attacked her. Or we tried to get her and she ran away again, and then eventually we did finally fight her again, and kind of cornered her and killed her before she could go ethereal again. But it went from like a level 3 encounter the first time we bumped into her, and then by the last time we were like level 8 or 9 or some shit. So it went along over a long area. So yeah, they're good for that kind of thing. They're definitely one of those that I would caution DMs just underestimating and going in blind on a creature like that, because they're so interesting and so dynamic. There's so many things you can do with them.
So many things you wouldn't think that would be a factor. It very much is.
And who knows? You don't have to necessarily make them an enemy. They could be one of those, like the Night Hag lost its Heartstone and needs you to go on a mission for it. Do you do this for the Night Hag? What does she have to offer you? Is it worth it?
Yeah, exactly that.
Hags like to make deals like a fiend would or a devil would, but you can be you can have a lot of fun with hag deals. I was reading up on hags and how they, a lot of times the deal they make with you may seem really simple and doesn't affect you, but that's because they have another plan of someone else they're torturing.
Pretty
and
much.
you're just kind of the messenger.
And you are kind of abiding for that to happen.
Yeah. Right. So you're indirectly causing pain to someone else because the hag is like, I just need you to deliver this to this place.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I need you to do. But it turns out that sets events in motion that maybe years down the line, someone ends up getting tortured or loses their family or something like that. Hags are conniving. I also saw that in the lore that hags can live like longer than like dragons and stuff because of their fey blood.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's interesting though, because dragons, they get old as shit.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. But their hags are effectively immortal, kind of like a lot of the fiends are and things like that.
Yeah. Marriage Dan's got a nice question for us. Playing as an intelligent monster, do you prefer that they have a set moral structure, or they could be a bit more grey on their motives and rules?
Depends on the enemy. I tend to enjoy making them have some gray areas.
Yeah.
I like them having a distinct set of motives, whether or not it's a very black and white, like they just really want to torture people or something.
Yeah.
But I like to have a really clear motive for my enemies, at least the ones that are hopefully going to be around for a little while.
Yeah. I think a good rule of thumb that I typically try my best to utilize when it comes to that is the mountain. So Gregor Clegane from
Game of Thrones.
Song of Ice and Fire. The reason
Song of Ice and Fire.
Why he's always so violent is that he's constantly in pain. He's always drinking milk of the poppy to like try and, but like even like as cruel and as torturous as he is, there is a small reason. It's not justified. But there's something there. So if they are in a particular direction, I just always like to have a little bit of motivation to be like, that's what they think. Whether they're right or not, or it's true or not, that's an entirely different thing.
A good villain always thinks he's doing the right thing.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Again, I do love the evil smashy guys that are motivated by just rage or whatever. Those are fun too, and they serve their purpose. But the villains, I really like have a motivation that they wholeheartedly believe is the right thing for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, having that kind of faith is like, it's just that's what kind of keeps them going against odds.
Yeah.
And sometimes having I don't know, 4 to 6 possible freaking demigods. And level 6, they can survive a fall from 2,000 feet apparently, and it's enough for you to be like, okay, am I gonna continue doing this? Does it really mean that much to me? Yeah.
Excuse me. Excuse me again. Goodness.
Oh yeah. Man, we are all kinds of classy tonight. I
should have just open mouth belched. It's whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's my hag impression.
Oh my god, hags just burp. That was a soul. Sorry.
Hey, I've seen them described as like play them as they appear, like a super old person who doesn't give a crap about what people think anymore.
Yeah.
They don't care about your opinion.
Why the fuck would they?
They're ancient. They don't give a crap.
Literally dangle with your souls. You think they give a shit?
Yeah. And they eat babies, but
Yeah, I mean, let's not hold that against them, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. A cannibal on our team, okay? Let's be understanding.
Yeah. Sometimes they make them into pies, Which D&D monster would you be based on preference or personality? So okay, so the question is if we, I guess, had a choice of that
Yeah.
based on either our just personal preference
Like who we
or
would be.
what our personality we think would go well with.
Oh wow.
Well, do you want to? Would you want to be your land shark, just
We'll just be
digging
like,
around,
no,
just
I don't think I'd want.
attacking
I'd
random
love
things?
to have one. To have that pit.
Just
Fuck yeah.
to have one.
Just have a pit. First of all, no one's walking in my yard.
Just tearing up the yard.
Yeah, he'll go around the house. I'll have my garden.
It's like just a giant mole or gopher ruining the yard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually,
I mean,
such a really good question.
Yeah.
So which one?
I always gravitate. It's not a D&D monster per se. It is in D&D, but it's not exclusive to D&D. It didn't originate there. Yeah. I always think vampires are just fascinating.
Oh yeah.
They're so interesting. They're fun to play in D&D, and they just clearly we can't get enough of making movies and TV shows and writing books and whatever about vampires because they're just fun. I think they're clever, they're charming. They are very evil, so that wouldn't necessarily fit my personality, but it's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Oh, succubus, that's a good one too.
There you go. Yeah, shit. Take a
succubus is good.
A suck you what? I mean, now you got me wanting to look at freaking monsters to see what I'd be.
I mentioned it before in stream. I do like the specifically the devils as far as fiends go, just because they're clever. They're businessmen.
Yeah.
You know, their
hierarchy is very fascinating. It's a
very, very strict hierarchy with a lot of very strict rules.
Yeah.
They tend to not want to bother around with the material plane unless they really need something.
That's true.
And you know, they live forever. So, and the ability to go to other planes, get killed, and just repupate at your own is nice. Yeah. Now it ruins, and oftentimes it ruins their hierarchical standing in hell if they get killed somewhere else.
Well, I'm sure
but
gonna want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're a dickhead. You got killed by a halfling?
Doppelganger would be fun, being able to change into different shapes. All I have to do is like see somebody once and you just change into them.
It's kind of a terrifying thing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's Jordan Peele's actual fear. That's why he made us.
Of being replaced by a doppelganger or something?
Yeah, there's doppelgangers just walking around. You know what? Sphinx. Or Phoenix. Ooh. I love Phoenixes. In every kind of rendition, I think of Phoenix.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But I also like Sphinxes, like riddles, and they're, and they kind of just like talking to people for the sake of riddles or whatever. I think
Yeah, Sphinx are cool, and there's a couple of different types of D&D that you can have of different like strengths. There's a Gyna Sphinx and I think an Andra Sphinx or something like that. Yeah. So there's a couple of different types.
I think Ravnica came with like two more, because there's there's Zorius, which is like the white and the blue deck. Yeah, there's a lot of different Sphinxes inside their cards, and so I think there was a few more that got added. Man, I love the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. It's just a cool. The monsters are done. Everything about it's cool.
Nice. And then I can't remember. Phoenix considered celestial or elemental?
Celestial, because
they are celestial.
I really want to have a celestial warlock who's connected to a phoenix, and so he uses his embers to heal everyone. Like a different version of a flame. That's just a character I would love to play.
Yeah.
White hair like ash.
I do like the kind of angelic celestial beings as well. They make for some pretty interesting beings to encounter for like the players, because they tend to be devas and solars and planars and all that. They are planetars. They're incredibly powerful. But they can be really, really interesting. Like, why would the characters need to talk to them and so on. I can't remember if I mentioned on stream before, but one of my players picked celestial pact warlock.
Oh yeah, that's right. You've mentioned this before.
And initially he like kind of misunderstood that the intent is not for it to be with a god.
Yeah.
So he thought he was pacting with a god, and I was like, all right, that's fine. Instead of telling him that he misread that, I'm gonna mess with him.
At some point.
And it turns out like his mentor was a Solar in disguise and was the actual pact he had.
Oh wow.
So when it was revealed, he had to deal with being pissed about them misleading him, but also kind of coming to terms with the one who actually holds his pact with him is there physically in front of him.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. I thought it was fun. I was like, this player could either really like this or be really pissed at me.
How long were you sitting on that though?
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Oh, how long?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. The reveal, I think, was after they hit. It was almost halfway through the campaign, I think. Wow. I think they'd just gotten level 10 when it was revealed.
It's some patience on your part, man. Because you know me, I sit and I shake and like, ooh, when they're gonna find us out.
Yeah, and I gave him opportunities a couple of times to possibly see something was off. And he made a couple of insight rolls and just happened to roll like a 3. So like, seems okay. Until finally it kind of came to a head and he was just like, what the fuck is going on? It was good. It was good though. It's I don't know. Those would be fun things to play. I don't know what would match my personality though. I really don't.
Me neither. Bandit, a barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe. Well, you know what? I think it would be kind of like the Brotherhood without banners. It would be like a thing like that. Yeah. Is that I'd just be a part of like this group. It'd be like me and my brothers. We'd all have like little abilities together and relying on each other. And then that would be the kind of monster. I think we'd just be a cool, run-of-the-mill bunch of bandits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be a flump. I don't know. Just floating along.
I could be a flump in real life.
Just kind of floating around with my tentacles.
Do they look like they're a stressed animal? Nope.
Just hanging out.
Just chilling. We have another question here.
In universe, what differentiates monsters and animals? Would you call an elephant an animal or a monster on first sight? Really? Well, yeah, I mean, that's... technically, you could have creature stats, right? They're both creatures, whether it's a monstrosity or... Because it's not really a term. Monster is not technical. A vampire is not classified as a monster. It's a humanoid. Or it's an undead, sorry. It's undead. A griffin is a monstrosity, not a monster per se. And it's just elephant is a beast the same way as a skunk is a beast.
As a gorilla.
So, to living in that world, would seeing the elephant be any more strange than something else? What?
Would it be possible to tame it? I think that's.
Would it be possible to tame it?
Yeah, you can tame an elephant. You can herd elephants.
You might be able to tame an owl bear.
I'd be down. I'd be down. I'd give it a shot.
I would say generally, the idea is, I guess, like beasts are natural creatures that were created over, time and evolution or whatever, but monsters and monstrosities are generally affected by magic.
They're the result of,
otherworldly forces have manipulated things. So they're created by some unnatural means, I guess, whereas a beast, an animal, is more naturally created.
Yeah. I think it's
if you're getting real technical about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But as my level 2 character would be just as concerned about encountering a regular lion than they would a mutated giant rat. I'm concerned about both of those things.
Yeah, exactly. One makes me worried about society. The other one just makes me really scared of where I am at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about the Yuan-Ti? Sorry, I kind of hijacked the conversation for a while.
No, that's okay. Well,
and...
we also got off track there for about 15 minutes. So.
Yeah.
Which is what happens, and that's totally okay. Yeah, I could talk about Yuan-Ti for a long time. I won't. I'll do my best not to. I could talk about him for a long time.
We could just make it an independent episode at some point. Like,
yeah,
just go deep diving.
We could do that. I guess broad strokes. I think there's actually plenty of lore built up with Yuan-Ti, like their origins, and they have a caste system of how their hierarchy works, and just there's a lot there to be mined and a lot of ideas. Like while looking into them and researching them, it gave me so many ideas of how much you could really develop a campaign just dealing with Yuan-Ti.
Yeah.
Because there's so much there to their culture. They're actually one of the most ideal, the dreaded TPK moment. And what do you do if you think that something is getting out of hand? Yuan-Ti are one of the perfect enemies for the TPK to turn into. They don't kill you, they capture you and take you back. Because if you're not Yuan-Ti, you're pretty much just a meat.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily to eat, maybe as a sacrifice, maybe as a slave.
Yeah.
But you're less than. They look down their nose to anybody who's not begun ascending to being closer to their snake gods. But there's so much. There's multiple deities that they could worship. There's several of them.
Yeah.
Different deities mean they'll do different things. Like they had three main ones, and of course I'm forgetting all of their names. But the Night Serpent, Dendar, is one, and that one that specifically gains power from fear and nightmares. So their followers, like the Nightmare Speaker variant of the Yuan-Ti, will oftentimes. There's just I could feel the ground shaking.
Oh, no, don't say that.
No, it's just a really low flying plane.
Oh, bro.
I'm not far from an airport.
That's right, you're close to one.
Yeah, it's one of those small, like executive jets and stuff, or private jets. But still,
you don't know where he lives.
That's true. But yeah, they'll capture people and they will torture them and mess with their heads while they sleep because that feeds their goddess.
Yeah.
And then there's Mershulk, the master of the pit, a sleeping deity that they use. What is it? Pit masters. Those versions of Yuan-Ti that are trying to make ritual sacrifices and ritual murders to try and give consciousness to their sleeping deity. And then there's one other big one. Seth? It's two S's. Seth. Otherwise known as the Sibilant Death, who was like a deity that jumped on the bandwagon of that previous one, Mershulk, and claimed and kind of like snuck in and took a bunch of his followers while Mershulk was falling asleep and shit. Yeah. But that one has I think the Mind Whisperer Yuan-Ti that has the idea, or generally how they act is they run from fights a lot. They like to get in between two different groups and kind of manipulate things and stuff like that.
Play them against each other.
That was one thing as I was looking to it that was pretty interesting because of Yuan-Ti's history. They tend to, if they think that things are not going well, they are very quick to retreat because they've lost so much of their former power and they value their own lives so much. They don't tend to throw themselves away in battle.
Yeah.
They're more likely to, if something goes wrong,
it's not cowardice to
the Malison or the Abomination, those higher ranking, they'll just say they'll throw their slaves at people, or the Yuan-Ti purebloods. They'll throw them into battle and just kill them while I run away. It's just interesting. They're creepy. They're not like some of the other races out there where they descended from things. Like a tiefling has infernal heritage, or Genasi have elemental heritage.
Yeah, primordial, I
guess. The Yuan-Ti literally cannibalize people.
Yeah.
And then perform a ritual while in a pool of live snakes to try and warp their bodies. So, and then of course they can also have babies and stuff like that. But it's really creepy stuff. And there's so much like cannibalism and ritual sacrifice that surrounds them and their culture, that it makes for a pretty interesting and unusual. And I mentioned it before, the TPK situation. Do they capture the party instead of killing them? Is it to make them slaves, and now your party has to find a way to escape now that you took your weapons away? Or are you getting lined up for ritual sacrifice and you need to leave quickly? I think there's a lot of opportunities out there for them, and they've got some really, really cool variants, all the way down to the Brood Guard, which just like watch the eggs, to the Anathema, which is the giant. I think it's a huge monstrosity with 6 giant snake heads.
Oh my god!
And then massive claws as well. If you want to look up Yuan-Ti Anathema, that thing is pretty awesome. It's like a very rare variant of they took an Abomination, which is typically their top tier, and went through an even heavier ritual to make it even closer to a serpent god, to the point that Anathema are viewed generally as like demigods.
Jesus. Oh, that's terrifying. I'm gonna get a picture inside the chat, Jeff, for folks to see.
Oh yeah, go for that. And they have such a weird relationship with their deities. They don't fear them. They don't love their deities. They aspire to be the deities. So there's even it could be really cool to have a storyline where you have something like an Abomination or an Anathema who's trying to supplant whatever god that it worships, quote unquote. And there you go, the Anathema.
Put it in between us,
yeah. Hey, isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah. That looks like a God of War creature, like a God of War villain.
Yeah.
Like they'll
it's great.
Smacking around. And... Jeez.
Yeah, they have, and I kind of cheated because I'm talking about all of the Yuan-Ti, and you went with just Night Hags.
Yeah.
But I got down this rabbit hole, and just these things are crazy. I believe the one you put up there in the top over me at the start is an Abomination.
Yeah.
Which is one of the more, because it's more complete snake.
Yeah, it's like if you're close to the snake, you're...
Yeah. Which I just found interesting. They called Yuan-Ti purebloods, despite them being about as far from snake-like as you can.
I guess they're closer to being like the more tainted your blood is.
Yeah. Or I guess maybe that's it. Yeah. So a tainted blood would be something better.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Whereas the purebloods, maybe they have slitted eyes or a forked tongue or a little bit of scales on them or something.
Yeah.
They're good for. The purebloods can manipulate people and get into regular civilization.
Yeah.
I have a player that made a Yuan-Ti character, which is interesting because Yuan-Ti generally don't have a lot of natural emotions.
No.
Because their old culture, even before they became Yuan-Ti, when they were humans, they decided emotions got in the way of furthering their society.
Sure. Very lizard folk.
So, it's part of who they are. So they they fake emotions for the most part. But it was interesting figuring out and writing that in. Because you can always say no evil races in the campaign for player characters. That can be problematic. But if you think it can be done, you think the player can handle it, you can mess around with that stuff. You know,
be a blood hunter, and the ritual just fucked up.
Yeah,
that's now you're like
part of the character's backstory was them getting to see one of the rituals that normally a pureblood would not necessarily get to see, and the screams of the child being ritualistically killed kind of shook them out of their kind of cult brain, and we're just like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, that would do it for a lot of people. That would work.
That was good. And it's actually more so that one of the Malisons noticed that she reacted, and that was going to be a bad sign. Not so much that she had a bad reaction to the ritual, it was that someone saw that she had a bad reaction. It was a fun little backstory to cultivate with the player. But they're cool. And Volos has got a lot of cool stuff on them. A lot of things you can mess around. Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for the next monster manual to come out. Oh man, more cannons. Mm-hmm. Woo, that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be fun to produce here. 150.
They keep bringing out amazing source books and
they've been on fire
resources. Yeah, and it's too much. I can't buy them all.
Yeah, I know. I really want to. Please make notes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oof, all right, man. Well, we're coming up to the hour.
Yeah.
Anything you want to leave with?
Yeah, just mostly kind of reiterating what I said earlier. I've made the mistake early on, especially as a rookie DM, of just throwing monsters in that look cool. And sometimes you got to do that because you need a random encounter. But I definitely recommend as a DM, take that extra 30 minutes or whatever to read up on what type of creatures these are and what they could react to, and or how they would handle certain situations. And you can actually end up finding yourself with a really cool idea for a story or a side quest or something like that. That's more than just you encounter a night hag one night.
It scratches you kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
There's so much delightful writing out there, and if you can't find it immediately just under the monster's description, Google it up and talk to people. There's you can really change one particular kind of encounter, like you said, or one kind of throwaway villain or whatever, and it can become this overarching changing thing that can mess with people in combat, outside of combat, and it's just worth it, and it's just fun, it's just cool.
And it can add that if you're finding yourself having trouble making combat interesting, sometimes just knowing a little bit more about the creature's backstory and how they would react to certain, or how they would act in combat with something, can just add that little bit of extra spice to the combat. In regard to hags, I saw something, it might have been in Volos, it might have been elsewhere, that recommended hags like to collect magical items and things like that have unique properties. So it recommended go and look at fun spells that they may be able to cast or something else, and then add a twist of how would they cast this spell. I think one of the examples was they shatter a hand mirror, and it casts the cloud of daggers, but in their own unique kind of weird haggy way. It's not just I cast cloud of daggers, it's I shatter this mirror and it starts to spin, and it's like, okay, that's actually a really fun idea,
like a
way to do
dust. Oof, that's harsh.
Yeah. But it adds that little bit of flavor to it, and all you're doing is describing differently something that already exists in the book.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
I like that note, actually. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's something I didn't think about as much. I've done similar things, but just looking at it plainly and saying like, okay, so they have, Witch Bolt or something, but how are they casting that? Do they have a special item that kind of does it? Do they have a weird way? I mean, it's a witch bolt, so you might as well.
Right.
It's a hag. It's a witch. Let's have fun with that.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. Dan has a question that I don't know. I want to
what's
acknowledge.
your favorite monster voice to do, and can we sign off with them? It's this one. The real monsters are us.
I don't know. I like doing I like doing screechy monsters, and I'll usually use like a kind of like I'll tense up my throat and do an inhale for the screech.
Oh yeah.
And it tends to make it up. That I don't. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't really want to do the sound on here because I want to be noisy. But yeah, I like doing that. It's fun for like a bird creature or something.
Yeah.
Just like that. That's always fun. I like. I like going back to vampires. I like doing the kind of almost, for lack of a better word, almost like a sensual way of talking.
Yeah.
Making a little bit more. It's like it sounds like they're tasting every word that comes out of their mouth and just savoring it. I like those kind of voices, which is a lot more obviously human sounding, but that's fun. Yeah, I like the screechy stuff. The screechy stuff is fun.
Yeah, I mean all of it's cool. Little kobolds are fucking fun. Running around, being spastic, I love it. But also really like playing around with pacing. These creatures like giants and dragons that live forever, they're not going to really talk at the speed and the cadence that people do.
Sure.
Like, just because then time just has a different kind of mantra, and they're not around civilization to change that. Yeah,
slow that speech down a bit. Go all ent.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Like
go Treebird with this. Take a while.
Yeah.
That's good.
We
that
take
is a good
forever
point.
to say what we say because when we actually say something, we don't talk a lot, but when we do, we mean it. So we make sure that we get every point across, and I love it.
That is an interesting thing that can help with developing some of these characters too. They're dragons, hags, devils, things like that. They live incredibly long.
Yeah. So
they're going to generally be very patient.
Yeah.
It's like they're not in a rush to do stuff. It's not like they've got this piddling 70, 80 years to live like a human does.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
That's nada. And unfortunately.
Some of them have taken naps that long.
Exactly, yeah. Hibernation. Wake up, the heroes are dead. Well, I think on that note, thank you so much for joining us. I think maybe we'll go get some sleep.
Yeah, it's a good idea. My eyes are getting heavy.
Yeah, but thank you for joining, man. Thank you for Mario, to Dan, and to everyone that came inside here. Really appreciate it, as we always do. If you love someone, tell them you love them. And what's rule number 1?
Don't be a dick.
Maybe just don't do it. That's easy. Next time you're gonna do something, ask yourself, is that a dick move? If the answer is yes, don't do it.